Well, good evening. I've got the wonderful Sarah, one of the bloggers of Berwick Speedway, along with a little person.
A little tired person.
Yes, yeah. First of all, I don't know if you saw the highlight of yesterday's meeting. I'll put it up for you. I'll put it up for you. I'll put it up for you. It was good. It was good. I mean, it was excellent.
So here we are coming into the third bend, and I'm wearing this brightly coloured shirt for the man who's normally standing there with another brightly coloured shirt. This, I would say, is probably the fastest part of the track. You're coming in here with a hell of a rate of knots, and you've got this banking to run up when you're coming in. So you want to come in here just off where, at that dip there, and you've got a lot of options. You can do what Theo Piper's been doing. He cuts it down onto the white line, and he can usually build up enough speed to get yourself out the corner and get into first place. Or you can do what Bummer does, or myself, and run it away up round the fence and keep that momentum going and come off the corner onto the straight, again carrying a lot of speed. So your options, you've pretty much got to decide what you want to do when you're halfway along the straight, who's behind you or who's in front of you. But 9 times out of 10 you'll see boys wanting to chase the dirt up against the fence, and looking at it, it does look like there's going to be a bit of material just coming out the fourth bend, which we'll go and have a little look at just now.
So, Sarah, as a Bandits fan, reasons to be cheerful, part 3.
What, you're asking me after last night? Reasons to be cheerful. Wanna have Liam Flint, Jonas Knudsen, a forward-thinking promotion. You know, despite last night, I think a lot of teams would, still be happy to be in our position. You know, the stability that we have. That's got to keep us positive. Friday and Saturday just stinkers, we've been here before, we dust ourselves down, we move forward.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly lost all the momentum that we gained on Wednesday night. The bubble was immediately deflated, and Redcar couldn't have come at a better time than Saturday after the Friday night. When if the truth be told, if we had a full team of our own 7 riders on form, fit, good, good machinery, and let's say the track prepared the way we ride. I don't think track preparation was an excuse for last night. I think it's just the fact that they caught us on what was the ideal day to take all our momentum away. Hi, James.
Absolutely. Yeah, no excuses. Just purely beat by the better team.
Well, I don't know about a better team. I think, as I say, there was more of them certainly, and they were they're on fire at the moment, or at least they'd had a good win the day before, so they've got all the momentum with them. But no, it's I'm one of these glass half full people, as you know, and like you said. At least we do have Speedway, and as I think most importantly you said, we have a very forward-thinking management that they've already got in place in plans. As I was saying to James earlier today, Jonas Knudsen came on; he's already agreed to do next season. And talking again to some of the management and yourself, James, I mean, looking at the team for next season already. Yeah. I think it's almost a dead cert that Ace Piper is going to be part of our championship team next year.
Seems the natural progression. I mean, obviously time will tell as to once these things are confirmed. But I think as well that it's nice that we're in a position. One of the positives, I suppose, to come out of the last couple of nights, I suppose, is that it's nice to be in a position where we can look ahead to next year. Because other clubs don't have that, and we do. So, if there's always, if you're trying to make something good come out of something bad, that's probably it.
Well, I'm even more optimistic than that, shall we say? Can I share something that I put together just 5 minutes ago? So it's a bit scrambled and a bit rushed. There's no audio. and I'm afraid we can't talk over it, but we can read it and digest what's being said. It's a little a sort of observation as to what's to come in the rest of the season. We start off with a look at the league table. As I say, our mics are muted. There's no audio, so don't worry. Don't go bashing your computers if you're not getting any sound coming out. Here we go. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Sorry about the lack of sound, but I think it was. My point on this is obviously that of the teams that are 7, 8, 9, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in the league, Redcar are obviously in prime position. But when you look at their 2 away matches, eminently losable, and you look at one of their home matches against Glasgow, and you think, hold on a sec, they might only pick up another 3 points against Scunthorpe. Berwick have the potential after the Oxford performance to certainly to win at Scunthorpe and Birmingham. Maybe not get anything at Leicester, but they're not home and dry by any means, are they?
It's all up for
it's all ifs and buts. I know your thoughts on ifs and uncles and aunties.
Yeah. It's too early for that. But it is all ifs and buts, and yeah, I mean theoretically we could make it. I personally feel that at this stage, and it's not. I don't think anybody will disagree with me too much in the sense that I can't help but feel that the damage was done in the 3 lost meetings at home.
Oh yes, yeah.
Like if we'd won them, we'd be in such a strong position. Mm-hmm. Annoyingly, the Redcar one. Had it not been for the injury to Jai, I think we would have won that night. Right. And the other meetings just so happened to be I think that if the fixtures had been kinder to us, if you like, in the sense that, we had Edinburgh and Oxford and Newcastle, if it had been those 3 meetings with the injuries, I think we would have had the firepower to have won those meetings. Obviously, the Newcastle meeting now, but ultimately, but. I think we would have had enough in the tank we came up against stronger sides at all the wrong times.
Yes.
And again, ifs, buts, maybes, but I can't help but feel that when you're losing your home meetings, it almost makes the result at Oxford, as good as it was, all that little bit more frustrating. Mm-hmm. With that type of result, I feel, has been coming all season. And you just felt that, if it all clicked into place, and as it did that night, that we could do something to bring a wee bit of a surprise. And if things had been differently, we would have won at pool as well, I believe, had it not been for a couple of dodgy at best, to be honest. They were shocking refereeing decisions.
I'm trying to be polite for change.
I'm always polite, Sarah, you know that.
Yes. But did you notice? Now we're second bottom and Redcar is 6th. Who's got the better points difference between Berwick and Redcar? This is the really amazing thing. Redcar is minus 37. We are plus 4 in terms of race points difference.
It's quite staggering, really.
Isn't it?
And it is, it just doesn't. if you were without actually seeing that, and you were just to say that, you think you were talking nonsense. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's, but no, it is. It is there. It's there to see.
I'll just pop that up once more, and I'll just stop it again straight away. Okay, there's the league. (608), 645 against, so they're minus 37. And just to compound, I mean, poor Ryan is going to be exploding soon. If we keep talking about Berwick pipping Redcar to the playoffs, and I know Gavin and Jade will be giving me a load of stick as well on the old messenger board, which they were doing yesterday and the day before. If Redcar were to pick up 1 point away from home, Berwick could still finish on 27. They could finish on 27, and that's when the race points difference could actually come into it, couldn't it?
Yeah, it ultimately could. They say it's ultimately again the frustrating thing is that those meetings that we ended up losing. We've had it the last 2 or 3 years, not so much last year, but the year before certainly. It was like one home meeting that I think that we lost all season at home, and that was what cost getting into the playoffs in the sort of final analysis. And again, one of those meetings were like we should have won, but we didn't. And again, it's just the way it goes. It is the way it goes, but there has to be that time where you have to feel that the luck has to fall in our favour at some point. But it just hasn't this year at all.
Well, Sarah, I mean, I wouldn't want to wish an injury on any Speedway rider, but we've had a lot of injuries. And I don't wish injury on any other riders, but I can't think of another team in the championship that's had the problems that we've had, apart from, I would say, Plymouth not having a number one, I believe, because Edward Kennett was out injured, and Newcastle, when they were running, they didn't have that Bradley Wilson-Dean. But I can't think of any team that's had so many injuries to so many riders.
Birmingham, maybe.
Yes, we've just heard that James Shanes is out.
Yeah. He's out for it looks like a season ender for him, unfortunately. They've had issues with Klaus Vissen as well. Know that he's injured, he's making himself unavailable, but
Vissen's gone missing.
Yeah, as he wants to do. Although, to be fair to Klaus, actually, see, when he was at Berwick, I always thought he was a glass act, to be honest. He was always good. He never seemed to, there was never any issues with him. That he seems to have issues elsewhere. But there'll be reasons for that, I dare say, that we don't maybe know about. But that's another story for another day. But yeah, certainly they've had their problems, as have we. Newcastle, you mentioned. And probably Plymouth as well, to be fair. But it's again, it's one of those things that it's how you cover it. And we haven't rider replacement just never seems to work for us. It's almost like when you see you got rider replacement, you're almost one, and you look down the thing and who can take the extra ride and stuff like that. And just for whatever reason, it just never seems to fall in our favour at all. Shame, but again, that's what it is.
Sarah, before we get on to some facts and figures, which I've prepared earlier, because usually it's the women in an argument that come prepared with facts and figures, isn't it? But not that it's an argument, but I just wanted to ask you of the current team, and obviously we've made changes, but of those 9 riders that we've had, which ones have improved their average and which ones have dropped their average?
I think Bournemouth improved, Leon's improved, Drive has improved. I think, to be fair, the only ones that sort of, I think Theo's sort of similar. Ties, well, obviously satisfied. Sadly, Ties didn't. I think everyone else, but everyone else has, I think, haven't they, for this season?
James, have you got the figures, or do you want me to do them?
You had them before, but I believe Theo had
fairly
reasonable improvement from memory. Haven't seen them before.
Yeah. So at the start of the season, at number 1, we had a rider called Chris Allen, who
was a great type.
Chris started on 7.91. He is now 9.26, and I think I worked out the improvement was like well over a point. As you say, for me, what's quite interesting was that everybody's saying that Ricky's been struggling, but he started off 6.59. He's now up to 7.09, so he's put half a point on his average. As you say, Leon, 5.89. Now he's up to 6.96. Next up, Theo started on 5.51. At the beginning of June, went up to 5.75, and is bizarrely back on 5.51 exactly. His average hasn't shifted at all. As you say, Ty Proctor, that was the disappointment. He's obviously went down from 5.42 to 4. And Kyle has dropped from 3.51 to 3.42, but obviously not there anymore. So it's bizarre, isn't it? We're 9th in the table. We've got a better points difference, and all of our top 5 riders have improved their averages.
I know.
And it's like the gloom and doom of losing to Redcar. I mean, Sarah, what were your thoughts going into that meeting? What were your hopes?
Oh, Christ. Being the eternal optimist, I thought, okay, we can maybe get a 47, 43, 46, 44. I thought we could beat Redcar, but then my head went, no. After Friday, 5 key riders taking a batter, and I thought, well, my head was saying, no, we're just going to lose. After heat 1, I thought we're in for a long night. But do you know something? There was fight there, despite the fact that we got walloped. There was fight there.
There was, to be fair. There was.
It was simply a bad night. I think everyone was just so. It was a nothing meeting. After heat 1, I think we knew it was going to be nothing. I think the important thing, like you say, mathematically, we're still in the playoffs. Concentrate on that. We've still got something to aim for. So, just hopefully this week off will be good for everyone. Chance to get the bike sorted, rest any aches and pains. James has been here before. Paul, you're so long in the tooth watching Derek. This is nothing that we're not used to as Derek fans.
I know.
Seen it all before, innit?
Absolutely. And we may have had a moan last night. No, screw this, I'm not coming back. But we all sat and watched it, and we'll all be there next week.
That's it.
I think that's just the ups and downs of being a Derek fan. You just get used to it,
I think it's like that with any sport, though, really, isn't it? And again, the way I sort of see it is, yes, we've had nights like that before where nothing's went right. And every club has them at some point or another. It's just the nature of the beast. The other thing is, as well, as you mentioned, there was it. It's if you were looking down the scorecard, it's easy to say, oh, he scored this and he should have scored that and whatever in this. But as you say, there was a bit of fight there. What did Chris Harris get? 6, something like that, which on paper's probably a poor night by his standards. But when you were actually at the meeting, it was battling for 6 points. You know what I mean? And then I think when we were on commentary, me and Marty called it Heat 13 when he collected Lewis Kerr. We're saying, how often has that ever happened? You know what I mean? All the years, never happens. Rarely makes those types of mistakes or causes those types of incident. And we said, if you were to sum the night up in one instance, that was it, really. It was just, and again, he battled hard. Theo started poorly, but he picked up towards the end of the meeting. Aaron Summers again started poorly and battled away for his points. And the likes of like Nathan Stoneman rode his nuts off all night for 1 point. You know, a decent score will come his way just purely because the effort's there. And the one thing I will say about him as well is that when he, even when he is at the back, he's always chasing, he's always hunting. There's no pulling up at the back and drawing up at the centre green because he's not at the races. He's always there. He's always in the hunt, and you can't fault that. You know, I mean, we know that he's not going to be going in and scoring 10 points every week. It's just not going to happen. But if the effort's there, that's sometimes worth that little bit more, and he'll get his reward at some point or another. And then, as you've already said, Jonas Knudsen, he had a pretty decent night as well. And among the points, looks to be getting to grips with Shielfield, and obviously his away form's been excellent as well. So it isn't all doom and gloom. It's just a bad night at the office, really. That's all it is, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, talking about Jonas, I didn't realise until I read George Dodge's report that he's actually battered and bruised from Friday, and was even struggling to walk back to the pitch. I mean, it's and to get on the bike and to do that in a foreign country, because you're wearing the black and gold, as you say, there's no lack of effort there. One thing I did find a little bit bizarre, and in no way would I ever criticise Redcar and their fans, but the way they celebrated at the end of the meeting, it suggested to me that they had come to Berwick with huge trepidation, and it was relief at having got through. Because I mean, I
don't know. I think.
So I don't know what you think, James, but I think a lot of them came. I think Marty was quite right what he said the other night. A lot of them were thinking, we don't need to bother turning up at Berwick. It's done, it's dusted already. They're not going to beat us.
I think there's an element of that, and I think, I mean, to be honest, Redcar's general record at Berwick is very, very good, and it's a track that I think that holds no fears for them. And I think, irrespective of the team that they may have, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, they would always fancy their chances at picking up a result against us, again, no matter who we had in our team. So certainly I think, and to be fair to them, they do have a good sort of hardcore base of fans and a good following, home and away. So I don't know if I buy into the sort of relief factor of it, as it were, but the thing is, for me, you could take nothing away from them last night. By far the better side, wanted it more, rode extremely well right down the line. And, when you're up against, it's almost one of those things where you don't mind getting beat off of the team. I mean, obviously the scoreline was vastly different to what I was hoping for. And to what probably most people expected, but they just turned up and demolished us in the early heats, and that was it. A couple of body blows, and that the meeting was over after about 3 heats, probably.
Well, yeah, but I would just point out, if that's their celebration, having got through that basically quarter-final, if they get through to the semi-final and the final, are they going to celebrate even more? I mean, to me, it was like we've won the cup.
Paul, I don't know if you were there. I think you might have been there, James. When they went to Newcastle Knockout Cup final, and believe me, they were loud.
Yeah.
They were very loud. To me, that's what you need, Paul. Okay, they came with some of them came with a brash attitude, but you need fans like Redcar, fans who are going to create a bit of atmosphere.
I mean, as I say, don't get me wrong. I'm not criticising.
You certainly couldn't fault them for that. Certainly, they were making plenty of noise.
No. And it's great to see.
I dare say, if the roles had been reversed, we would have been doing the same. Possibly louder, but and I think they do that. There was certainly no grudges held there, certainly for me.
But the last time Berwick did win some silverware, I've got the footage that shows that you two were both at Peterborough that day.
It was indeed.
And that the celebrations were very, very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just put it, that winning the Premier League, of what it was then, the Premier League fours, is maybe slightly bigger than just winning a second leg of a knockout cup tie that entitles you to a trip to Armadale.
Possibly the last ever trip to Armadale, though.
I mean, look. Yes, there's a little bit of devil's advocate in quite a lot of what I say and do, but anyway, just trying to wind up Brian, as you know, it'd be good to wind them up. And as I say, the both Jade and Gavin, we were having a good bit of banter back and forward over the meeting. So looking forward, then I suppose we should, as you say, obviously congratulate Redcar on going through. They seem to be doing very well. Thoughts on meeting against Edinburgh in the semi-final?
That'll be an interesting couple of meetings. I think Redcar will start as favourites, but I don't know. Like Edinburgh are just starting to find that little bit of form. They're starting to like grind results out of nothing. They got a point at Leicester last night, which looked highly unlikely. In the early stages of that meeting, and I think, I don't think Redcar are home and hosed in that one. I think it'll be a tough couple of meetings, but I think it'll be one of those things. I think we're both sides will go to both, home and away, without fear, and it'll be, and I think both it'll be 2 home wins. I think, and it will be close. It will be close, and I wouldn't like to call how that one's going to go, but
I'm going to call it Edinburgh for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. I wouldn't disagree with that. I really wouldn't disagree with that. I just feel that they're just beginning to find a little bit of groove. That the guys that they brought over at the start of the season are beginning to get into a little bit of rhythm. They're beginning to sort of, show flashes, and I just have this feeling that something's going to come together for them before then. Whether that's in the playoffs or the cup, I don't know. But yeah,
I'm a little surprised that you're going for. You were saying Redcar might start as favourites when, of course, they're 6th in the league, and Edinburgh are higher up the league table than them. Surely the league doesn't lie, but then, as we see, there are lies, damn lies, and statistics. The bizarre thing there is that had we progressed through against Redcar, our record home and away this year against Edinburgh is we narrowly lost and hammered them at our place. Yep. And so if it had been us versus them, I would definitely say we would have started as favourites. I mean, we're not there, but isn't that bizarre?
Yeah, you're right in what you're saying. The only thing I would add to that is that while we started the season very well and Edinburgh didn't, they are now riding very well, and arguably we aren't. So I would say that those 2 meetings would be very different. I think it would play out differently to how it played out in the early season if we were there. But that's not to say that we wouldn't be capable of going through and doing something. But it would have been interesting, and it would have been quite a tasty fixture, to be honest. But obviously wasn't to be for us anyway. But whoever goes through that will have worked hard to go through to that'll be the final. I hope that one of those 2 sides goes on to win the cup, to be honest. And then I wouldn't feel quite so bad about it, to be honest.
I'm just sorry. Sorry about this. I'm just trying to check on something for you. Third along. Right. Okay. You were saying about Edinburgh improving. I was going to check and see how they got on against Oxford when you consider that we went there and demolished Oxford on their home track, but they've yet to race, so we can't say much about that one at the moment because we don't know.
Take anything on that because we went to Oxford and done them. Redcar went to Oxford and lost.
Yeah.
Glasgow went to Oxford and lost. It's just.
I think, to be honest, actually, in a sort of bizarre twist of fate, I think that the track conditions seemed to catch the Oxford riders out on Wednesday, and it suited our guys. And that's something that we've been victims of ourselves in the past, and maybe some would argue last night as well. I'm not sure if I maybe did catch us out a little bit, but again, whether that would have made much odds or not, I really don't know. I think the way Redcar rode, that I think they would have won that meeting anyway.
Well, Gavin did actually text me to say that he felt that whatever preparations had been done to try and make the track grippier, and certainly when you see the first part of Greg Blair's report and you see the dirt at the starting grade, he described it as a launch pad, and certainly the Redcar Bears riders were absolutely flying out the gates most heats, weren't they? And that's what Gavin said, was that some of his riders said just that the track was prepared to suit us. It ended up suiting us better than it did the Berwick boys. Which is strange because at the start of the season I thought the track was superb.
I think it's one of those things that I'm never ever going to criticise anybody that's preparing a track, because they're up against they're up against a million elements, and a million different permutations in terms of weather, temperature. Is it going to rain? Is it not going to rain? Do you water it and hope it doesn't rain, or do you not water it and hope it rains anyway? And you're up against a lot of things, and particularly at Berwick, it's its own weather zone, isn't it? It's and again, you've got the sort of contend with the sort of sea air, which can alter things as well. When it's a lot windier there, which drives it out as well, and things like that. So, again, no making any excuses. It's one of those things. But I think preparing a track must be the hardest job in Speedway. It has to be, and I don't envy the guys that do it, but I take my hat off to those that do.
Well, I know that for a fact because you designed a really nice poster, and in big letters it celebrates all that is Berwick, and in big letters, the biggest letters of the lot is Ian Ray. So
it doesn't get, to be honest, Ian probably doesn't get enough praise for the work he does.
Well, I showed him that picture and he said he had seen it before.
He possibly has.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the one I mean, Sarah?
No.
It's a black and gold, black with gold writing, yeah, and it just lists all the sort of elements to Berwick Bandits, like sort of as I say, Ian Ray's mentioned there, Dennis McCleary, Sheffield, Barrington Lough, Tatum, Nielsen, Knight,
Courtney, come on.
Courtney Walsh, Blackburn. Yeah, I mean, we were having a bit of fun about some of the other things that you could add into that, So hopefully, mugs and T-shirts to be coming out soon. Yeah, James.
Yeah, we shall see.
Yeah. So okay. I'm going to put you two guys on really on the spot now. Mid-season report. In fact, I think mathematically we're just past mid-season. We've had 13 meetings. We've got 5 to go. Total of 18 in the season in the league and the 2 Cup, yeah. So we're sort of 3/5 of the way through, maybe more. Maths was never a good subject of mine. So you're sort of have we done better than expected, worse than expected, about average? What would be your sort of teacher's report? I'll let Sarah go first.
Ooh. I'll give them a C+.
Yeah.
Started well. Injuries killed our momentum. We didn't seem to go back. Just as we'd lost Jai and Leon, it might be machinery problems, God knows what, but Ricky and Theo seemed to take the slump. you know, and it was very unlike Theo, because you're worried when he was getting 0-0-0. You thought, what is wrong with him? Because he is. That's not Theo Piper.
No.
It's hard. I think I expected us to do better. When you look at the team lineup, to me, that doesn't scream 9 out of 10. You know, we should have at least been 6. You know, we should have been in this playoff race a lot better than where we are now.
Mm-hmm.
There's still positives for us to look for, though, when you think, you know, we've got a Riders' Championship, you know, to the end of August. You know, they still could be Glory coming to there, because you think Warner's going to probably do his favourite track. You think the pace, you know, offside, you saw how Bonner and Leon, well, I would imagine it's going to be Leon going there. You know, you think that could be a very good night for us, you know, because Leon Gordon, he wants to win for his town. You can sense his disappointment, you know. He wants to do better. He wants his teammates to do better. You know, he wants to bring glory to Berwick, and you know he has to be on the team sheet next season to, you know, be that rally. But no, could do better. That's what I'll say. But
James?
I must say, sorry, Paul. I must say, I screamed out for team changes last year, as people know. You know, I said we need a number one, and to be fair, they've delivered on that. Our number one has done better than what I thought, despite the fact he's riding here, there, bloody everywhere. You know, he has come and he's, you know, 39 now, isn't he? And he is putting a lot of number ones to shame with how good he really is.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he comes back, but, you know, time will tell how far we go from now on.
Okay, James.
I think Sarah summed that up pretty well, to be honest.
Yep.
I think that we you know, the start of the season, I think you always, whenever the teams sort of come out at the start of the season, I think everybody thinks or can see the positives in the side that their club puts together. And they always sort of, but a lot of the time, that sort of it's sort of maybe misplaced loyalty and more in hope than expectation. However, I'd say that wasn't the case this year, where the expectation was that we would do well, and that we probably should have done well. And I think, to be fair, I think if we hadn't had the injury problems that we would be far better than we were. We are a better team, and we have been a better team than where we currently lie. It's possibly just been, and again, it's unfortunate that at the time when, you know, everybody was sort of riding fairly well at the start of the season, once the injuries started to hit, as you rightly say, Sarah, that was when, you know, you were operating rider replacement, and when you're operating rider replacement for a rider like Jai Etheridge, who had only been beaten three times or something like that, right, at his home track, prior to being injured, you're then needing the guys that are covering it to be riding well. And it was just unfortunate that the guys who were taking the rider replacement rides were going through a bit of a slump of their own at that time. And ultimately, that's what's cost us meetings. And yeah, I think you sum it up quite rightly. You know, could do better. You know, but again, it's not been for lack of effort. I know that when it was announced that we signed Chris Harris, I was personally buzzing. I know other people were maybe a little bit apprehensive, and fans of other clubs had plenty to say about it as well. Not necessarily all for the good, but you know what? It's been box office. It's been absolutely. It's been superb. Like week in, week out, it's been absolutely superb, and like not once has he let the side down at all. And he's sort of been the guy for the big occasion. The big heats, he's went and he's done it, and he's ridden his nuts off. And do you know what? Fair play to him. The guy has been brilliant. He's been dynamite to watch. And then, you know, and I think the other positive is, you know, like Leon Flint's now beginning to develop into a genuine heat leader at this level as well. You know, he's going in and you're expecting him to win races, you know, away from home and at home as well. So yeah, it isn't all doom and gloom, but it's a little bit frustrating that we maybe should be higher up the table than we are.
Well, I mean, yeah, I've got the actual figures here. So Chris Harris has put 1.35 on his average. He's now up to 9.26, which, if Sarah, I think you're of the opinion that he might not be back next year, and I know James, you've expressed the opinion that he tends not to stay at the same club year after year.
Certainly hasn't done in recent years, but who knows? I'm not in a position to know whether he will or whether he won't. But I would. I mean, if he was the first name on the team sheet for next year, there'd certainly no complaints for me.
No, none from me either.
Well, I'll pose this question then: if whether Chris Harris comes back, let's say he doesn't, then so who out of Leon and Jonas is the one that's going to win the battle next season to be the number one? But I know, James, that you're of the opinion that you prefer to see Chris Harris there, and just to give that guidance to the two up and coming heat leaders. But I mean, how exciting is it to have Leon and Jonas, I would say, potentially competing for number one next year?
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's good that we've got these sort of riders on board, and hopefully, all being well, they will be back on board next year. I just think that even for like the start of the season, if there was a rider of the ilk of a Chris Harris, if it's Chris Harris, great. If it's not Chris Harris, you want someone who's of the similar ilk, be it a Richard Lawson or a Stevie Worrell, Richie Worrell, Ryan Douglas, someone of that ilk, that's in that position, and it gives maybe Leon and Jonas and whoever else someone to chase, rather than maybe Leon starting the season at number one. Not saying he couldn't; he'd be more than capable, but I think that the age that those guys are at, it would be of a benefit to them to have maybe more experienced guys around them in those positions, and someone to chase for that. But other people may think differently, but that's certainly my take on it.
Sure. I mean, when we had Jade Mudry on, we posed that question of the red car team, who would you suggest to Berwick, Charles Wright? Of the Berwick team, who would you like in your team? And it was a no-brainer. There's I don't think there's any other Speedway team in the country that's got an up-and-coming youngster that's actually from a few hundred yards from the track. I think again, it's something we need to maybe think about and the management. How to fully use the potential of promoting with our spearhead of a Leon Flint, because that's something that I'm interested in is how do we get, for example, these chat videos have been great, haven't they, James, Sarah?
Oh yeah.
But the thing is, we're preaching to the converted, we're chatting to people who are already supporters. How do you attract new people to come along? And particularly interesting, Sarah, over the years of supporting the Bandits, have you noticed an increase in the number of females that come to watch Speedway?
There was quite a lot of females when I was there, probably for the wrong reasons, but
Yeah.
I'd say there is. I think a lot of the people that attend, there's a lot of older females, but the people my age, you still get that buzz. It's literally the smell. You don't like to say it, but the crashes, the good-looking eye candy, that brings a lot of female in as well. But yeah, Speedway is very, female orientated, and I think you have to look at females that are starting to take up riding as well to show that this is a sport that can attract females. I think as far as promoting it goes, what got me back was the time the Czechs were just coming back in 2001, and that's because Peter Waite went into schools, and he was giving away flyers. He was out on the streets, You know, he was doing anything he could to promote. And I think you need to get that old-fashioned promotion, okay? What we were talking about last night, you know, you've got your Facebook, your social media, Twitter. You need to grab TikTok as well. Things like that young people want now. The things that you could do with TikTok, you know, that would appeal to the younger generation as well. It's just, to be fair, we've got the spearhead promoting it, you know, that can do these sorts of things and probably are thinking of this sort of thing already.
Well, I was going to ask you a question. I'm sure I remember that at one time there was talk about doing a calendar where the members of the team had, shall we say, not much clothing on. And some of the team were up for it, but I believe Michael was dead against the idea. Have I got that right?
I think you have. I remember talk of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just interesting, isn't it? You know, that when you've got somebody of the like of Leon Flint, who must be a marketing person's dream come true, you know, and I'm not saying this from the point of view of, you know, the management should be doing this. I think you're right. I think it's all word of mouth. But my daughter, for example, was telling me that, you know, when she talks about Speedway, a lot of people, what's this Speedway? I've never heard of it before. So it's like, how do we get people? And that was one of the things that she mentioned, was to try and do a lot more on TikTok. So I'm hoping that we're going to get Greg to do a few more videos where he talks about, you know, just Speedway in general, pictures of the bike, you know, just short little clips that we can put out there and sort of promote, you know, not just the Bandits, but Speedway in general, you know. Anyway, one more contentious issue that I wanted to discuss with you, and you can shoot me down in flames straight away. Given the fact that Saturday's meeting was so important, and really, you know, all due respect to Glasgow, that Jubilee Championship match, or whatever it's called, was just of no importance to us whatsoever. The feasibility of doing a Jurgen Klopp and saying, sorry, Glasgow, we're sending the bullets. Thoughts on that one? I mean, is that something that somebody in the future is maybe going to do?
I mean, yeah, there's arguments for and against, but I think at that point you're not, no disrespect to the bullets, but you're robbing the public of what's advertised at that point. And I think a move like that would only encourage the doom mongers to enforce their ill will on the sport even more. So for that point of view, I don't think it would be worth even considering. The one thing I would add is that obviously the cup meeting was a rearranged fixture.
Yes.
And ordinarily we probably wouldn't have had a fixture the night before on the original running of it, I don't think. Mm-hmm. So yeah, easy with hindsight to say something like that, but I think that, you know, people are paying good money to see the best teams that they possibly can on show, and they already lose out on that when teams are operating rider replacement and things like that, and that happens probably more often than it should. So I think if you went down that route and just sent a makeshift team or a junior team or whatever, I think it would just encourage the doom mongers to just have even more doom and gloom, and that'd be another nail in the coffin and such like. You know, it would just encourage it, and I think that for that, I mean, there's an argument to be made that the Bullets possible would have scored more than 25 points.
I was not going to say that, but
I think you know, again, it was just a bad night at the office. You know what I mean? It's just, you know, how it is. But I know exactly what you mean, and I don't disagree with the premise of it. But I think that the actual reality of it, or the actual enforcing it, would be a different thing altogether.
Sorry, James. I mean, the other thing, of course, is Ace couldn't ride anyway because he's not old enough. He has to be 16, doesn't he, to ride in the championship.
That as well. But what I can't help is sort of feeling, if you're turning up to a meeting expecting to see a battle between, let's say, Craig Cook and Chris Harris,
Yep.
and you get there, and that's not, you pay your money to get in, you buy your burger, you bought your pint, and you're sitting there ready to rock and roll and ready to watch a meeting, and then you're presented with, not that, you'd be pissed off. You know what I mean? There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, but I mean, this was something that did start in the football a few years back, wasn't it? I mean, I remember when it first started, there was quite an outcry about the idea that that this team was putting up a weakened team for the FA Cup, a lot of junior players. But now squad rotation is now the accepted norm in football. It's. I mean,
I think a squad system would be a great thing. I do. I really think a squad system would be a great thing. But again, it's possibly another debate for another day. But I don't think we can compare football and Speedway, Paul, because football's not a real sport anyway. So
it's just people pretending to be hurt.
Just chasing a bag of air about.
Yeah, in Speedway they are genuinely hurt, and there's no duality. Anyway, looking back, sorry, we got as far as Chris Harris or Chris Allen, whoever it is. We'd like to see him back. Ricky Wells, this did surprise me. His average has gone from 6.59, which was a steal, up to 7.09, and yet he's considered as having a real slump mid-season, and yet the statistics don't show that.
Yeah.
Would you have him back?
It's a strange one because see when he's on
I
form,
would. Yeah.
When he's on form, yes, without a question. Yeah, he's an enigma. He is an enigma. Yes, I would have him back, but it's a case of when you watched him at Oxford, he was great. When you watched him at Poole, he looked like he'd never ridden a Speedway bike before. And again, that could be there's other permutations to it. There's again, I'm not criticising. All riders will have a bad night. The one night of the week, Bartosz Marzlik will even have bad nights. You know what I mean? It's just the nature of the beast. But yeah, I think it would. He's an enigma, but we've had plenty of enigmatic riders before. And when he surprises you every now and again. He'll pop out and win the heats that you don't expect him to. And you need riders like that. So yeah, I think I'd like to see more of the Ricky Wells that started the season with us.
Yeah.
Than the rider that we saw at Poole, and there was somewhere else as well, another away meeting. I can't remember where it was.
He did well. He did well at Edinburgh, which was surprising.
Yeah.
But I mean, I remember. I'm sure it was Stoke he rode for at one time. It must have been pretty much towards the end of the Stoke era. I remember him coming to Berwick and scoring a maximum. I'm sure it was a maximum he got for Stoke.
He always rode Berwick very well as a visiting rider in general. Always scored a lot of points. And was one of those riders that was always a sort of constant thorn in our side. So when the chance to have him came up, it was you would take him all day long. It just I think that again, he's been good more often than not. And the way he started the season, he was brilliant. I'd like to see more of that than what we've seen. Again, couldn't fault him last night. He battled away for his points in that as well. And the Poole match, he was good as well. So he is maybe on the turn of his form again. That's the rider we want to see, I think.
Yeah, and I think Ricky Wells is. I remember seeing him being interviewed when he was riding for Bellevue and talking about the fact that it really is difficult trying to get that consistency. One week he went there and he got like paid 11 or paid 12, and the next week he managed like paid 2, and it's he himself can't put his finger on the problem. Moving on then, Sarah, I'll let you go next on this one. Young Flint has put just over a point on his average. We obviously want to see him back. Is there, or would there ever be an argument for saying have a year on loan somewhere?
No.
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 No? Good,
No.
good. I'm glad we squashed that one straight away.
No.
James, any would there be any benefit to Leon?
Possibly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'd want to see that at this stage.
No.
Feel that he's improving with us year on year, and still improving. I think in instances, the one instance that always sort of springs to my mind, I'm going back a bit here, but Sarah will certainly back me up on this. You know, we had Klaus Christensen in the team, 99, 2000, and he was starting to, you know, it improved, and then he sort of started to kind of plateau off a little bit. He went to Swindon for a couple of years, and he came back a different rider. You know, came back a totally different rider, and I think there always is an argument for that, but I think at this precise moment we should be aiming to keep a hold of Leon while you know, while he is improving, and while he's doing well for us. So yeah, no, there is an argument to be made for it, but I don't think now is the time for that.
I think I've mentioned this before, but of course, Klaus, when he was at Swindon, there was one of the Swindon fans started a Klaus Christensen fan club, and the fan was member number 1, and member number 2 was myself, and we were the only members of the Klaus Christensen fan club. and I got the membership for Alessandra and Emily, but yeah, I was like Klaus. I thought he was a good character, good laugh. I know Peter Waite and a few other people that have met him are impressed with him as a character. Okay, so I'll let Scott Courtney know that we're keeping Leon. Moving on. I was asking Scott Courtney last night about his band.
Mm-hmm.
You know, his rock band. I thought, wouldn't it be good if at one meeting we had likes of a bit of a mini concert, say for half an hour before the Speedway. So I think if in memory. Sorry?
Are you going to be the support act?
No. I'll just be there cheering. We have an interloper, Mr. Bartosz Blair. Hi, Greg.
Hello, how are we doing?
You've come just in time. Because...
Can you hear anything?
Oh, what I was going to ask was, fourth in our list of riders is Theo Piper, who, as I say, bizarrely, has gone from a starting average of 5.51 up to 5.75, and is now back at 5.51. Are we having that Are we having Theo back, the youngster Theo back, and or we send him out on loan?
You know what? I'll keep him.
Yeah.
Because apart from his blitz, which could have been machinery problems or what, he has been Mr. Reliable. He's got you those points that he's. I don't know what James thinks, so.
I would.
It's so middle order.
You know what you're getting. Mm-hmm. You know that he's a Matty Weathers type character. You know what we had him. You know that you're going to get 6 or 7 virtually everywhere. You're going to get that solid, dependable. You know he's. It does exactly what it says in the tin with riders like that. And again, you need riders like that in the team. What you don't need is 7 riders like that in the team. Mm-hmm. You do need to have these experienced guys, these guys that have been there and seen it and done it and whatnot. And yeah, again, it fits that bracket.
Just for Greg's benefit, I have put on the shirt. Where's Greg's shirt now? Is it hung up nicely? What does Sarah think of the new shirt?
I don't even know where it is.
Oh,
there it is. It's through there.
Can I show you this? Because I don't know if you missed it earlier.
So here we are coming into the third bend, and I'm wearing this brightly coloured shirt for the man who's normally standing there with another brightly coloured shirt. This, I would say, is probably the fastest part of the track. You're coming in here with a hell of a rate of knots, and you've got this banking to run up when you're coming in. So you want to come in here just off where, at that dip there, and you've got a lot of options. You can do what Theo Piper's been doing. He cuts it down onto the white line, and he can usually build up enough speed to get yourself out the corner and get into first place. Or you can do what Bummer does, or myself, and run it away up round the fence and keep that momentum going and come off the corner onto the straight, again carrying a lot of speed. So your options, you've pretty much got to decide what you want to do when you're halfway along the straight, who's behind you or who's in front of you. But 9 times out of 10, you'll see boys wanting to chase the dirt up against the fence, and looking at it, it does look like there's going to be a bit of material just coming out the fourth bend, which we'll go and have a little look at just now.
Just say, Greg, be careful, because I'm sure Scott Nichols is going to be after that shirt.
You may notice I'm wearing the same T-shirt as what I had last night, but I've not done a great deal today. Let's be honest. I've had a
hangover.
But we've watched the Pirates of the Caribbean before, and I think we just got to the part where Barbosa took Elizabeth on the ship and then fell asleep. It's been a very long, dragging day, but a great night last night. And I just have to say, just going off subject about that, I spent quite a lot of time with Jonas, and we were in the bar at Black and Gold. We had a great time, and Jonas turned to me and said, "If this is what Berwick do when we lose, what's it like when we win?" It was like, and again saying that the what? Sorry, James.
Did you tell him we would get back to him on that? Hopefully.
Yes, we're not too sure what that's like yet, but we'll get there. But no, for he was just saying how like the different it is, different but good at Berwick. You know, everybody's just a bit mental, and we're all just up for a laugh. Doesn't matter. There's no point. I don't think there's any point in.
No.
I know it's unfortunate that you lose a meeting like that and you get a bit of a hammering, but what's the point getting really miserable about it? Because
you can't change it.
You know, we can't change it. And the other side of things, and I really don't mean to get too deep, but we're going to have a meeting next week. We could have been Newcastle fans where we're like, we don't know if it's going to happen next week. So I would rather take a beating than no having Speedway at all. So I know it's a bit dramatic to look at it like that, but I know it's no nice to be beat, but at the end of the day, we've got to just got to take it on the chin. We can't always be the best, and sometimes it's quite good to be rubbish because you take a good win. You take a good win with a bit more pride than you do with like if you were hammering everybody all the time. So yeah, because you look at them red car fans, you know, they go out and they do that. Fair enough, they are doing well, the red car team. Imagine they get an absolute hammering of Edinburgh, home and away. The lip is going to be out on them big time. You know, they can win well, but can they take a beating? I would say not. We're thick-skinned at Berwick. We know what a beating is.
Greg, I mentioned that earlier, that, you know, all celebrating for what? That they've beaten the Bandits away. You know, after the Friday that we had, it's like, you know, you're not saving anything for if you win. If you end up winning the cup, you know, you can't get any better if that's there. But I mean, they were celebrating last night as the way that Berwick did at the Fours in Peterborough 2012.
I mean, each to their own in that, but sometimes you look at a celebration. Are you celebrating for yourself, or are you just trying to rub it in against the other team? And sometimes it's very easy to see through what side you're doing. So I just try and stay modest at least.
I actually took it as a compliment to us that part of their celebration was purely relief at the fact that, you know, they'd come to Berwick knowing that we'd just hammered Oxford at their place. Yes, we just lost to Glasgow, but it's in a dare I say it, a competition which is not as important to us as last night's was. I took it as a compliment that they were celebrating because it was relief, because they realised that a full strength Berwick could have easily torn them apart, but they end up tearing us apart. That's how I took it as being.
You have to. Yeah, that's one way of looking at it. I've done this a similar thing myself. Basically, when I came back to racing, without naming any names, when I came back and said I was going to come back again, I got a message of a guy who told me that I was kind of wasting my time. I shouldn't come back. If I do that, I'm going to find it hard. It's not as easy as it used to be. Blah blah blah. And the same fella that told me that, I was testing an engine at a certain track, and I got beat by a rider who was kind of under the guidance of him, and he beat me when I was testing this engine, and they kind of treated him like he had just won a Grand Prix when he came back in because he beat me. So at one point he's telling me not to bother with coming back, and then when his sort of protege goes out and beats me, they use that as a celebration to be like, well, you beat Greg, and Greg's, you know. So you have to remember that in Speedway there's a lot of knobs, but there's you know.
I mean, I don't think that was very nice of your dad to do that to you, to tell you that.
No, that's true.
Okay, but moving swiftly on. Obviously, Ty Proctor, at the start of the season, on averages, he was fifth at 5.42. Obviously, dropped down to 4, which is a drop of nearly 1.5 points. Obviously, Ty, we hope that he recovers. I mean, do we think he's going to be coming back to Speedway next season?
I'm sure he's been back on a bike.
Yeah?
I'm sure he's been back on a bike, like, recently. I'm sure someone sent me a photo of that. I don't know what it was about, but I'm sure he has been back on a bike.
I mean, if Workington were to get ready for next season, do you see him as being a potential for them? Because I think him and Kyle both liked their time together. I was certainly speaking with Kyle's mum, who got very emotional at Kyle winning Heat 2, and understandably so, I suppose. But you know, they were saying what you guys have all said, that Kyle and Ty are good friends. Okay, so moving on then. Obviously, you know who number 6 in our averages was at the start of the season, and it's Reggie, who's put nearly 1.3 on his average. Presumably, we're wanting Reggie back as well.
If I could steer clear of injuries, you know, but he seems to, you know, a lot of the time it's through no fault of his own. Seems to find himself on the injured list, and it's never, you know, it's never just a slide off in his back in the rerun. It seems to always be a sort of, you know, like semi long term sort of thing, you know, where he's out for sort of weeks at a time. I think if, you know, again, it's part and parcel of the sport, but injury prone. But when he's on it, is now an untouchable around Shielfield, and for that reason, you probably would have him back. You need riders like that as well. So,
but it's unfortunate that comes with a risk, though, isn't it, James? You know, yes, he's a good rider. No disrespect to him at all, but when you know in the back of your mind, if you're the team manager there,
yeah,
you're gonna. I would imagine that you're gonna worry about your riders that are riding in other leagues anyway, in different clubs and stuff like that. But just the fact with Jai is that you're like, if someone runs into the side of him, and he's down for more than 10 seconds, you're gonna have to be using RR. You're gonna have to be using RR, and that's not something that, you know. For instance, that crash that happened on Saturday night with Bummer and Louis Kerr. I mean, they were both on their feet before the bikes had even stopped moving. It's just, it's probably something that's in the back of the mind, and it's again, it's no fault of Jai's at all, but
it's one of those things. It's one of those things. Yes, it's good at, and I don't know whether there'd be maybe a benefit to maybe him going out on loan for a year somewhere or whatever. It'd maybe be a benefactor of something like that. I don't know, but certainly, I mean, from a Berwick standpoint, you'd have him in your team.
100%.
You know, every day of the week and twice on Sundays. But you know, it is. You don't want to get tired. Again, you've seen enough racing over the years. You both have. You've seen enough racing over the years to, you know, that there's certain riders that get that sort of label of being injury prone, and they become difficult guys to sign. Or a lot of the time, you'll see, I remember, again, no disrespect, I remember when I saw that Adam Roynan was coming back last year for Newcastle. I remember thinking, that is a gamble, and don't get me wrong, I had a decent season with him, and then looked to be kicking on, this year as well, but then ultimately losing his team place at red card, and that bound to be the longest stint he's had, out of injuries. You know what I mean? It's out with having an injury, sorry, and fair play to him. So it does show that it can be done, but when riders begin to get that label, they do become a gamble.
Yeah, it's true. You've got to worry about how they're going to carry the injury as well. It's not just the fact of being out. You don't know what they're going to be like afterwards.
The one thing I would say about Jai, I remember last year, it would be the Glasgow meeting. He got wiped out. And then it would be the following week or 2 weeks later or something. He was back in the Plymouth meeting. Could hardly walk before the maximum. So it's not... it's there's no doubt in his ability. Not one iota as anybody's his ability.
Yeah. So obviously we've now got Jonas, and as I think it was I think it was Marty in the chat that said, that when Jonas said, "Oh yes, I've pledged myself to 2 years here at Berwick," so and I think he stays on 5 points now till the end of the season.
I think so. I don't think he's going to do enough meetings to get a proper average. I don't think.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully. I think it's a no-brainer. There's certainly been enough. I've seen enough of him to suggest that he's definitely worth a punt. I would go as far to say that in recent seasons he's been probably one of the more imports. By, quite a considerable distance at this point, I would say.
Mm-hmm. And also, finally, chatting in the bar, I was not at the same table as Greg and Jonas that were obviously drinking the bar dry. I was being far more sensible, chatting on over at the corner with.
I didn't think so, Paul. You had a fair stot on last night.
I think I did. and as Jonas says, if this is how we celebrate when we've lost, imagine what it's like when we win.
I reckon you were in Bedrocks last night, Paul. Is that true?
Well, yeah, I'm trying to encourage a guy from Rothbury to come for the Speedway. And believe it or not, we have a mutual acquaintance in Lawrence Heppel who tunes pianos for some of my pupils and also tunes them for James Tate. So I put a message out that, come to the Speedway, and I'm sure Lawrence will do a special, quote, special rate for the Speedway. And we might take you to the nightclub afterwards.
Can't beat it with a stick, that place. It's fantastic. I've never heard anybody I've never heard of anybody that's went to Bedrocks and been disappointed.
I couldn't tell you that. I'm pretty sure the last time I was in there, I was still in my 20s, and that wasn't yesterday. So there we go.
and so finally, as I say, the general consensus, it's a pretty much a no-brainer that Ace Piper will be our other reserve next season. Thoughts on that, Greg?
Listen, it's all fair and well. Ace is going, don't get me wrong, Ace is going well at the minute, and if he's got the ingredients are there for him to become a rider. Personally speaking, I think it's far too early for him to go into the championship. I think he should do what he's done, because he's basically started at reserve, done what he's done, and he's worked his way up through the team. He went to heat leader with me. We were 3 and 4, and now he's at 2. I think another season in the National League to progress up to a solid 5 or a 1 or even a 3, stay there and properly learn his trade. I think if he does go into the championship next year, he's going to get beaten up a lot more than what he does in the National League. Could affect his confidence. He's very young. If that affects his confidence, he might say, you know what, I don't actually like this sport that much, because at the end of the day, I know Tio, I know Carrie very well, and they've always said that we've never pushed them. It's been up to the kids what they want to do, and if they want to do Speedway, they'll do Speedway. And they've said if they would say, look, we don't want to do this anymore, they're not going to be forced into do one more season, you'll be fine. It's just a case it's up to them. And I do think that he's too young, and I know, fair enough, I can see it for the fans' point of view. They would love to see that, a lad that's come to the academy, Bullets, and then to the Bandits, but I just think we should wait a little bit longer for him. I don't know if anyone else agrees with that, but
I'm just going to point out that was Leon not 16 when he started at reserve in the championship?
I'm not 100% sure on that.
I'm not sure because he did a season at Birmingham, but was that when he was 15, or was that when he was 16? I can't remember. It may have been certainly at that. I think I'm with you, Greg. I mean, don't get me wrong. If it was announced, he would have my full backing. He'd have my full support.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm sure you guys as well. I think that there'll always be a temptation to do it, but I wouldn't say there's any rush to do it. I don't think another year at National League will do him any harm. I mean, when you look at other riders that have went from that, and you'll agree with this as well, Greg, having been there and done it, the gap between National League and the Championship is massive. Absolutely massive. You know, when you look at guys that even the guys that do well in the National League, there's none of them are tearing setting the heather alight on a week in, week out basis, on a consistent basis at championship level. So that gap is big, and I think you're saying, it'd be great to have somebody from the that goes from the academy all the way into the Bandit side. You're absolutely right. That would be great, but it doesn't have to be next year.
No. I mean, I think the fact that Berwick are bringing these youngsters on and doing the right thing, and I take my hat off to the way things are run. I think it's brilliant. I don't think there's actually a club around at the moment that's doing that, and I'm not just saying that because I'm Berwick through and through. There's nobody else that is doing what they do with riders, the youngsters especially. And I would just saying it again, I just think that if Ace wants to go into the Bandits, my word of advice to him would probably be, look, enjoy it, but you'll probably have maybe 3-4 meetings on the bounce where you're going to score just the 1 point throughout them all, and that could just be a gifted point. But if you want to learn, if you want to go in and do that, yes, you will learn. You'll get experience. It will bring you on. Like, that's the other side of the coin. It will bring you on to realise how quick you need to be, and you can't make mistakes, blah, blah, blah. But the confidence thing, that's the difference. Me at 31, I've been on the 40k little today, and I'm like, I don't care who I'm out against now. Like, I don't care who's comes up next to me at the tapes. I just want to go out and beat them. Whereas I think a lot of the younger lads have experienced it myself in that Bullet side. They already know their number, say if they're 2 or 4, or if they're 6 or 7. Their job, which is fair enough, is to go out and beat their opposite number. But they'll not even think about trying to challenge their number 5, their number 3, or their number 1. Whereas I think you kind of need to have that mentality, is to go out and beat everybody. And it's just a young guy's thing. It's that imposter syndrome. I think everybody has a touch of that in Speedway, especially the young guys. Like you've said, fair enough. If he goes in Bandits next year, full backing for me, and I'd be there every week, and I'd even just put my little word in to kind of have a bit chat with him. But I would like to see him do another year at the National League. The way I'm scoring at the minute, he might be getting my team place. I might be back in the academy. Still been going great recently.
Well, Sarah, what have we got to look forward to this weekend?
Oh, I'm beating up Edinburgh. No, do you know something? Hopefully, a good meeting with Edinburgh. Just seeing the Bullets win, okay, that's a massive thing. It's just a bad meeting at Lake President, but we're sitting where they are because they're a good team, so it's a really good cluster. 2 wins, and fans are all happy. So So, well, I know I'll go home happy. To be fair, even if we lose against Edinburgh, if we see some of the fight we saw last night, I'd rather see Stephen making Stormlands go round, not just pack up on the last. If you see that sort of fight, that's what you want. So, but no, two wins or a loss, but, a fight, I'll be happy. Then I'm just happy anyway.
Yeah, I think it's there has to be some pride restored. This is from a Bandits point of view. Has to be some pride restored, and what better way to restore a bit of pride by putting one over Edinburgh, irrespective of what the competition is or isn't. It's you always want to win those meetings. We've beaten them once before this season. We know we can do it. They're a different animal now, I would say, than the side that came to us earlier in the season. But they're still beatable, and I think that will be the case. That they'll. I'm hoping for 2 wins. Certainly, from the Bullets standpoint. Greg's already promised us he's going to score a maximum.
No,
you did. That was your exact words. How over you are today. That you still be last night.
Well,
but for the Bullet standpoint, I think the main priority is to win the meeting, obviously, as it always is, to maintain that home record. I can't help but feel that the tie as a 2-legged affair is possibly beyond thing, but hey, anything can happen on the night, and stranger things have happened. But it is a monumental mountain to climb.
Well, see, the thing is, if we operate this squad system that I'm on about, we confuse everybody by sending the Bullets out against the Monarchs, and then we put the Bandits team in against the Cubs.
It's a great idea.
And we just disguise them.
It's a great idea, but nobody likes losing against the Monarchs. Come on.
Oh, okay.
Nah, do you know what? I've a lot of time for a lot of the guys that have to do with the Monarchs and stuff like that. And I've done a couple of their live streams and stuff like that, and I've always been made to feel welcome. So I can't criticize them too much.
Well, I've got a confession to make. On Friday, I wasn't in Glasgow. I wasn't at Ashfield. I made a promise I would go and see Lee Complin on his debut, and I did. And I got a chance to speak to Mike Hunter, which was good fun. I also got a chance to speak with John Campbell and suggest that they come on John, and I believe it's his son Douglas, who's the main sort of idea behind the new stadium. So hopefully we'll have them on. Yeah. We'll have them on pretty soon. Finally, we'll give Greg the last word. Thoughts on this upcoming weekend? Results for the Bandits and the Bullets?
I think to go straight in, and I'm gonna say I hope that Berwick's gonna pull back and beat Armadale. Beat Edinburgh. It needs to happen.
Yep.
I think for pride, for the fans, and just to lift morale in the camp, I think it needs to happen. Bullets, I'll be brutally honest, I cannot see us doing that. I do know after speaking to Kieran last night that he's not going to be fit for Saturday. So who knows who we're going to have in. The team could change about, but then there could be a bit of a reshuffle. Just to put a bit of strength in the reserves, which would help us with the cause of trying to bring it back. But we'll just need to see. We'll just need to see what happens, and I'm hoping we're going to keep our unbeaten record at home going. And yeah, I would like to say that we'll. I think we'll have 2 home victories, and Jonas is going to see what it's like to celebrate after the meeting.
And a maximum for yourself, obviously.
And a wee maximum for myself. Aye.
And also,
I say stupid things, don't I?
Let me down. Don't let me
down.
and also, Greg, we need a nice little video of you talking about Speedway bikes and the track and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to start plugging it on the old TikTok.
Aye, an old TikTok. We'll get that on.
Yeah.
So no, I'm going to be, as I said to Scott in the bar last night, I feel like I'm a promoter on wheels.
Yes.
That's exactly what you are. So
Yeah,
no,
it is all about getting that publicity out there, because even though this is a speedway mad area, the Scottish borders and Northumberland, there are people out there that haven't got a clue what speedway is. They've maybe heard of the Berwick. I mean, before I went along, I'd heard of the Berwick Bandits. Hell, they were the Dryborough Bandits, and I saw there was a car that used to drive into Melrose, the Dryborough Bandits. So I knew that there was a thing, this thing, the Dryborough Bandit. No idea what it was.
Yeah. No, it's a fact. A lot of people in this area don't know what Speedway is. They've never heard of it. They've went like the significant other in the corner there had never heard of Speedway at all until she'd come along with me, and now she's loves it. She knows she's starting to know who the riders are. She's heard plenty about what setups are, and I think it's when you take it back from just it's 4 riders going out for 4 laps, when you actually see like just the little interesting bits. Like last night, I told Sarah as we went in, oh, this will be interesting tonight because Kyle now rides for Red Car, and he obviously was at Berwick. I said, so he'll want to get one up on it. So that's going to be a little bit, and then she's like, oh yeah, eyes lit up there, sort of thing. So I think get more people at it, and I think it's too many people say that, oh, it's dying. Well, fucking do something about it and tell your pals, and let's get doing. And you know what I mean?
The base product is itself. When you take what it is, it's an incredibly simple concept, and yes, it's made complicated by its own rules and stuff like that. But ultimately, if you're going to a meeting, we're maybe a little bit different in the sense that because we possibly obsess over it a bit. But ultimately, if you take it in from an outsider's eyes and you're taking them there, it's 4 guys. They don't give a toss whether the guy in red in gate 1, the 9-point, or the guy in gate, 2-point average. They just want to see good racing. You just want to be entertained. And when it's right, as we all know, it's dynamite.
Exactly.
But again, people will always compare it to other things, but not every football game's going to be a classic. You know what I mean? It's just it is.
I was going to say that's like going to watch bloody. You could sit down. You could go to say an Old Firm game, Celtic and Rangers. You could see an absolute shite game, or you could go and watch Ancram FC against bloody Greenlaw, and it's an absolute stunker. Bloody, you know what I mean? It's just doesn't matter who's on the field and how much they're paid and what their skills are.
No,
just because you could get some. I'm not saying there is because it's never happened, but you could get some shite bullets meeting, which it doesn't happen. Bullets are never shite. It's always entertaining. But you get some. You can get some rubbish Grand Prix, whereas you can get some absolutely fantastic amateur meetings at Redcar, where the lads are having to pay to ride. It's like 45 quid a head, and there's maybe 6 folk in the crowd, and they've had an absolute belter a day because they've not paid any money to go in and watch. They've seen some great speedway where they could spend an absolute fortune to go into Prague or something to go watch a Grand Prix, and it's just there's been no passing. So it's what you make of it, and it's how you enjoy it. And
well, Greg, you mentioned obviously your Sarah. I've actually seen a video of Sarah. You gave her the huge honour and privilege of washing your bike down. I'm just wondering if Sarah in the chat here, maybe that's something we could have at Berwick. At the end of each meeting, people pay a couple of quid to wash the bikes down.
Well, that's an inventive idea.
Yeah. You get to choose which rider you get to hose down.
I think that would be quite good. Bikinis and soap and we're getting a nod over there. She said yes, I'll do it. Yep. No, she said yes. She's going to turn that.
Is that in the same way that you said you'd get a maximum on Saturday?
Yes. there's a delay. She's watching on the telly, so there's a slight delay, so she's not got a clue what people are saying until it goes up on there. This is what you call ultimate sadness. Look, we're sat there watching the stream on the telly. So yeah, she's all up for the bikini, and it'll be. So, you know what I mean? Actually, there's some ideas that I think we could get the crowd involved with a little bit more, like some games and stuff like that, and an interval. I thought about it the other day, where say if the bandits are riding, we could, not allowed to do a mechanics race anymore, but you could have something like a wheelbarrow race, one lap round the track, just something like that during the interval. Again, if it's just the bandits that are on and you've got a bullet squad there, we could take someone out the crowd, I don't know, sign something to say if you fall out the wheelbarrow and break your leg, you're not going to sue us, whatever. Like the old days, and race round the track, and you could have a little, like, a prize for who wins. Like, it's not so much betting. I don't know if you'd be able to get away with it, but just something fun like that. In a wheelbarrow, you win a wheelbarrow. Like, whoever gets over the line first. And I think it would be quite comical, because you could crash into each other, you could trip people up, you could just something a bit. There's so much that you could do in the actual meeting itself, where you could make other things happen.
You make it an event rather than just a meeting.
Like a pint downing contest. Like who in the crowd wants to come into the centre green and
There's
down
your
a
man
pint?
There
you go, Paul.
Right there with a shirt on.
I was going to say a loudest shirt competition.
Yeah. Loudest shirt competition. Aye, something like that. We could even say like this. No saying that they're not doing a great job of what they're doing, but even if there was the chance just to say, right, this weekend is fancy dress, and Chris Harris will pick his favourite fancy dress, and then they get a free pass to the next meeting. Something like that. So, it'd be quite mental to see, like, all these people dressed up in fancy dress. The ideas are all there. It's just, I think everybody's the same. We've got all these ideas, but we keep them to ourselves, and we just complain at the track and say, why don't they do this? Why don't they do that? Well, why don't you go and speak to the promotion and say, I've had an idea? Because the Berwick promotion, as we all know, are open to anything, and they would, quite
put anything. They would listen to you as well.
Exactly. They're not these old guys that are thinking about money, and they'd be like, well, if that's what the crowd want, let's do it. Let's find a time where we could do this, and let's just do it. And I think we should get the crowd more involved, and I think it would bring more people in. Ken, you might have kids that would be like, didn't even bother about watching the Speedway, but they got to go and throw a wet sponge at Bomber's face and at Leon's face. Something like that. You know what I mean? I would be up for it. I'd take a wet sponge to the face just in the name of entertainment.
See if you can hit a commentator or a cameraman from down here.
Yes, that sounds even better.
It's been done before, though, because Greg, I don't know if he was still going, Adrian Manel Spencer meetings, they had the dunk the referee one. Tim McGregor was a sport, and he actually.
I wish I went.
I got the target, sorry. But it was fun, and you're quite right. That's the sort of thing, because if you had a referee that's maybe pissed you off or something, and you see they're there, you're going to want to give it full pelt and probably throw a lot of money. What do you think?
Have sponge as well.
Aye, there's no. When did you last time you see a good gunging though? That's kind of no went on anywhere.
Yeah, no since Funhouse went off there about 25 years ago.
We've got all that waste oil at Berwick. I mean, I'm sure we could use that for something. I don't know if Sipa would be too happy about it going into the centre green at Berwick Ranger would be a bit pissed off with that, but
yeah, I'm sure somebody could get Pat Sharp to come up for the deal. Nobody in anything.
So
he's not got the mullet anymore.
I know, disappointing.
I'm gonna let you guys go. You're more than welcome to chat, by the way, backstage. So I'm going to get you all to say cheerio, and then we're going to finish off with the reason why we do follow the sport that we love. I've got Heat 14 from Bullets versus Mildenhall.
Oh, okay. Goodbye then. Right,
So, yes,
enjoy that.
this is especially for Sarah and myself.
Muffin of yellow. So, there's nothing a given in this one, but you can bet your bottom dollar the box office player will be doing absolutely everything to throw the proverbial at the Venn Tiger Man, should he need it.
Yeah, it's we've been treated to some fantastic action here tonight.
We really have.
And National League Speedway, it's pretty bloody entertaining.
It really is, and you only hope from a Bullet's perspective that Greg's dug deep into his toolbox, reached out and found a start out of somewhere and can just rip Snort away from the start, get his wheels in line. But we're about to find out in this one, James. Rev's going high, Star Marshal away, tapes rise. Who's made the best fist of it? It's Alex Spooner and white, but Ben Rathbone on the inside's made a brilliant start. Can he block the move of Alex Spooner? And here comes box office as well.
Yeah, Ben Rathbone making a rip snorting start there, getting the better of Alex Spooner, and Greg Blair is in third place at the moment. A 4-2 to the Bullets as things stand at the moment, but you just know that Greg Blair's going to throw absolutely everything that he has at Alex Spooner.
Comes Blair.
Here comes Greg Blair going for the big blast.
Quite there for Blair.
Not quite getting there. Alex Spooner hangs on into second place. Here it comes again, round bend 1 and 2. 2 laps to go.
There's Blair comes round to the inside. Can he make it work on the corner? He's done him.
Bullets on a 5-1, which means if it stays like this, or at least the worst they can do is a draw tonight. Absolute crucial.
My goodness.
Blair all out of shape. What on earth are you doing, Greg Blair? But Ben Rathbone out in front, looking so fast and so stylish. And if it stays like this, he's going to be the man of the match for me tonight. Ben Rathbone's been absolutely tremendous.
Bucking and rearing all over the shop, managing to stay on the bicycle.
High, wide and handsome indeed is Greg Blair.
Yes. Ben Rathbone stealing a march.
Yeah, Ben Rathbone. Reserve switch. What an astute bit of team management that was.
It really was. And hats off to him. He made a brilliant start, rode a clever first and second bend. And, well, you said it before the race. If there was a man that you needed to do the business when it mattered, it was box office. And he duly delivered. He was more out of shape than Zebedee at times, but he done the business. And I would say that he's pretty chuffed with that one.
I don't know.
Absolutely buzzing.
Does he look chuffed to you?
Just a bit. And the T-sider, Ben Rathbone behind him.
I tell you, for me tonight, Ben Rathbone's been man of the match for me tonight.
I can't go against that, you know. And of course, one race to go.
Crucial.
The Bullets have put themselves in a fantastic driving seat in this one.
They really have. They really have. 44, 40, one race to go. Which way is it going to go? We'll find out very, very shortly.
One race to go. Which way is it going to go? Find out very, very
Love it. Absolutely brilliant. And of course, James, you know, we are past the watershed. You know, you've got Greg Blair diving into the various bends, competing against Luke Muff. You obviously have to be careful what you were saying on that commentary, didn't
you? Yeah. This had crossed my mind. Various stages, hoping that scenario wouldn't. But yeah, genuine for a little while. There you are.
And the other thing that made me laugh was that, you know, one minute, you know, Greg is doing absolutely fantastic, overtaking. It was Alex Spooner, and he has a little wobble in his. What are you doing there, Greg? You know, it's like the highs of being, you know, the top notch ride it is to be in this. Oh, come on, Greg, concentrate.
Yeah.
Just getting the names up there. While
I used to have a banner with all your sponsors on it, but I had to remove it because it was I had to then do other stuff, and you have a limit on how many banners you can put up. So I do apologise for that.
Oh, do not worry about that at all.
Okay, I'm sorry, we're still on the live, so I'm gonna say cheerio and yes, excellent mugs, of course, from James there. Yes, Sarah, many thanks for joining us. James, likewise.
Yep. Thank you, guys, and we'll catch up. We'll see you on Saturday if I don't see you before.
In particular, James, many thanks for taking the contraband over to Berwick for Greg, the dirtometer. I've got a full range of dirtometers now for you, Greg. One for every track. From small ones to big ones.
No, anyway, well, thanks very much, and we'll see you on Saturday.
Indeed, yeah.
And
Jonas is finally going to see how Berwick fans celebrate.
Yeah, will do. Catch you later. Bye bye.
Bye bye.